see how well you can do. And what would be interesting is to see how well you do compared to your non-Keener classmates. Okay, so why isn't this thing going? Got 16 answers. I'm hitting skip. Did anybody not get a chance to answer there? With 16 people chimed in, it should have automatically moved. Okay, so how does breaker cam or follower wear affect the spark? Most people got this right, but I got a few people who thought it made it hotter and earlier. So let's see if I can find a good picture. All right, let's look at, let's just look at this from current slide. Here is my cam, right? Right. I get myself onto a pin, doesn't default there. The follower is right here on the breaker points. So the follower is what rides on the cam. As it wears, the breaker points will open a little bit later. And if we open later, we will no longer be at E gap. And if we're not at E gap, we will then get a weaker spark. That makes sense? Because I lost about a third of you. You're the keeners, so I'll take my extra time. Is anybody not making sense of this? That explanation doesn't help for? So if the cam wears down, it's not the cam that usually wears, it's the cam follower wear, but E gap. Okay, let's look at this picture again. This cam is going to be connected by a rod to my rotating magnet, right? This is all in the same shaft. And I've set this to be happening 11 degrees after neutral. If this is neutral, this is 11 degrees after neutral. My cam is pushing open my breaker points. And I set that up perfectly. And if it wasn't right, I adjusted my breaker points closer or farther from the cam. Does that make sense, Indivir? Okay, so if this right here starts to wear down, then my breaker points will not open right when I told them to. So now they will happen a little bit later, and this won't be at 11 degrees, this will be at 14 degrees. Well, if I'm at 14 degrees, am I at E gap anymore? No, I'm 3 degrees late. So I get a weaker spark. So then what you would do is you would adjust the breakers closer in and reset it back to my 11 degrees. And then everything will happen on time. And I'll get a hot spark again. Okay. There we go. Feedback. When people get something wrong, I know I need to talk about it. Okay, I don't know what to say about this. I've been like really blunt. How can you tell which position the light switch is by the light in your room? Do you need two lights to tell you which position the light switch for your bedroom is? Like one to glow when the switch is down and one to glow when the switch is up? No. Can you not tell very easily? One for each magneto. Right. We're going to connect one to the left magneto and one to the right magneto. And then we're going to slowly, carefully, gingerly move the propeller a half a degree at a time. And when one light comes on, that means that the breaker point's open for that magneto. And when the other light comes on, that tells me the breaker points came on for the other magneto. And they should come on very, very nearly the exact same time. So our magneto timing box, which we haven't gotten to play with much, looks like, where is it? This. Left magneto, right magneto. And we hook up one red wire to the left magneto, one red wire to the right magneto, and then the lights glow depending on which magneto opened its breaker points. So I lost a lot of people there. And I thought, have I not covered this really directly? Why am I missing so many people? Just didn't think about it too hard. Okay. Well, think harder on the test. Don't go for speed, go for accurate. Okay. So when we're going to set our external timing for the magneto, time the magneto to the engine, remember I said you set the engine to the spot where it wants firing position. We set the magneto to firing position, and then we couple them together. So what is the firing position of the magneto? E gap, not full register. Perfect. Okay. If I set my points to open at full register instead of E gap, when would the light glow? Would it glow at E gap, or would it come on at full register? Correct. The light comes on whenever the points open. However I do that, the light responds to the points. It doesn't care where the magnet is. We have to set that up. All right. So making sure that the breaker points open at the correct time. Oh, sorry, Interviewer. I thought everybody had answered there. Making sure the breaker points open at the correct time, sort of right. I guess that's not a wrong answer, but that would be more keyed to. I would be thinking that that's asking internal timing. What we're really concerned of is the spark happens at the right time. Blue is almost right. To ensure a hot spark, no. To ensure a hot spark, that is the internal timing that we do. This is external timing, is what this question is asking. Rotate the Magneto on its mount, and hopefully you'll get to see that in the shop. Well, you should start to get to see that in the shop either tomorrow or Tuesday. Adjust the points. No, that is internal timing. That is points to E-gap timing, which we do first. Lol, what lol? What are we looking at? All right. Yes. Okay. Any questions on this one? Power fine adjustments. When we move the Magneto a little bit back and forth, how are course adjustments done? Pop the drive gear out, turn it one tooth, put it back in. I'll show you that tomorrow. Why? Okay, well, why should they? They should. Ooh, to reduce detonation. That's a really poor one to choose. Advancing the ignition causes detonation. So that's a really poor choice. Retarding the ignition reduces detonation. Advancing it increases detonation. To allow time for the combustion event would be a good answer, except that we don't do it. We should, but we don't. In a base-mounted Magneto, why? Why is this? This is Mr. Tessier's favorite question that I wrote. Why is it a base-mounted Magneto? It's a double question. On a radial engine, right. Compensated cams are used on radial engines. Base-mounted magnetos are used on radial engines. Therefore, compensated cams are most commonly found on base-mounted magnetos. So that was kind of a tricky one. And I did trick you. I don't think so. I didn't put one that tough on the test. But you should know that compensated cams are used on radial engines, and you should know that base-mounted magnetos are also used on radial engines. So there's nothing in there you shouldn't know. Right, spring pressure, good. Nice, got it this time. Engine is cold when it's first started. Yeah, but we don't need a starting system. We don't need a special starting system for. Could I power a magneto circuit by holding a magnet and moving it quickly through a coil? Yeah, I mean, our magnetos don't physically really struggle to do that, but yeah, if you had a coil and a magnet and you moved the two of them quickly in relation to each other, you will get power developed. Electricity will be developed. Electricity will be induced. Now, why would you do that? That sounds boring. I know people who sailed boats to Hawaii, and I think they were silly. Like, seriously, Hawaii is probably the best reason to invent an airplane that there is. You can go there by boat, but why would you? Actually, airplanes were invented to kill other people. But then we found out Hawaii was a good place to park while you did that. All right. Retard points. Conduct pulsed DC away. This collapse of the magnetic field is happening on its own because the DC is pulsed. Here's what I want. The DC is pulsed, and the retard points yeah, kind of cynical part. Well, you watched my little history video, right? How to remember. You guys watch my history video with the flying whales and the Frenchmen and their balloons? Did Mr. Cliff show you that? I think he did history. Maybe I did. The one on YouTube, yeah. So clearly, yes. All right. These retard points, I don't think so. These retard points conduct pulsed DC away from the coil. It doesn't want to go through the coil. So if we give it a choice, it goes away from the coil and dumps straight to ground. When we take away that choice, we force it to go through the coil. Don't worry, it's 11:02, which means you probably don't care that much about it anymore. Yes, that was my cynical take. What do you mean we don't want it through the coil? We do want it through the coil. We want it to go through the coil because it will make sparks in our spark plug, but we don't want it through the coil until the cylinder is past top dead center, till the piston is past top dead center on the down stroke. Does that make sense, Aiden? Piston's coming up. Normally, that's when we light the spark. It's happening so fast that it ends up just pushing down. Yes, retard points allow it to go through the coil, but late. Yeah, retard means late. Retarded, late. Tardy, yes. Booster Magneto. Yes. Booster Magneto's old radial engine trick. Booster Magneto with a trailing finger. If an impulse coupling were gummed up in cold weather, sure. All right, let's look at our impulse coupling. Here's our common impulse coupling slideshow from current slide. All right, take a look at this guy here. What causes this to move? Let's change to red. Oops, erase that. Do my slideshow. Why is that not working? Slideshow, primary monitor. This isn't working. Come on, slideshow. Slideshow from current slide. Has it appeared somewhere? Maybe. Oh, here we go. There's my impulse coupling. Okay. This little toe is going to contact a pin, and that's going to hang everything up. What's pulling that out? Do you recall, Travis? What's pushing it in this way is a little tiny spring and maybe a bit of gravity. That's pushing it in this way. It's not a very strong spring. What pushes it this way? and this in. Centrifugal force pushes it in. So a spring, a small spring, pushes out, engage. Tail out. Does that make sense? So the small spring pushes me in this direction, and centrifugal force pushes me in this direction. Which one's going to be stronger? Centrifugal force. So we're flying around. It's a cold day. Centrifugal force pulls it out. Now this is tucked in here, and this has come out to here. It's a cold day. Everything gums up. The spring can't overcome. So my little clip keeps sliding past the stop pin and it won't engage. If it doesn't engage, my magneto just spins slowly. I don't get any spark. Does that make sense, Travis? I need my impulse coupling to get the engine. How does it get past the toe? All right, it's kind of drawn in here. So here in picture A, it's caught on the toe there, right? Take a look at this little body and that ramp. Right here, there's a gap there, right? See that gap? As the inner gets held and the outer turns, this gap pushes this up and pops it down. But then if it's gummy and gooey, it won't spin, it won't go back out to catch on the next try. All right. So does this make sense now? Seems like it. Nice. Everybody got it this time. Yes. All right. Cylinder number 1 connects to, terminal number 1 connects to 1. Terminal number 2 connects to 6. Terminal number 3 connects to 3. Terminal number 4 connects to 2. Does that make sense, Braden? I thought it was easy. Sometimes it's just actually simple. Turning magnet, right. It is the battery for the shower of sparks. That pulsed DC started out as ordinary plain Jane DC that came out of the battery, and we put a little chopper circuit into it, chopped it up into little pulses, and if you push pulsed DC through a coil, you get induction. And through a transformer, you can step it up. Electromagnet? There's no electromagnets. Impulse coupling. We wound up that spring. Let's pull this up. Pull it up. What did I do wrong that everybody got this wrong? Right here. Right here. This spring right here gets wound up. And then it lets go when the little toe lets go of the pin. And the spring unwinds very quickly and snaps us through for a spark. They're a simple mechanical system. Oh, okay. All right, well, I'm glad we did this. How does it give power? All right, I'll answer this in a sec. I'll let you guys answer this. People still trying to ask here? I've only got 13 playing now. The people dropped out? Low voltage pulsed DC. Okay, so let's just take a look at the PowerPoint again. Look at two things here. All right. First of all, let's keep it fresh. Starting vibrator. DC goes in right here. Goes in. This is 24 volts. And it comes out pulsed because those breaker points open. All right, that's to answer that question. I hear the shaft turns. This winds up. As it winds up, it tightens the spring. What turned it in the first place? The cranking of the engine. But we wind up a spring till we get to here. Then this pushes this up. This tucks out of the way. And then this whole thing snaps forward 30 or 40 degrees and unwinds the spring. And then it catches again. And then it releases again. Does that make sense? Hello? Does that make sense? Winding up the spring and then releasing the spring? Aiden, you were asking? All right. Still no. Okay, this spring is inside the impulse coupling. It's only partially wound. When we're in A, we're going to start winding up that spring, and then we're going to clip here and we're going to unwind the spring. And that spring gives a little flip to the magneto, releases its stored energy, makes a spark, and then it starts all over again. All right. Hot early spark. All right, what would I get if I got an early spark? What problem would that make? Kickback. Thank you. I don't want kickback. Kickback will damage stuff. Oh no. The cat seems to have found her way on top of the computer in a bad way. Let's get her out of there. Because we're going to have like technical difficulties in a couple of seconds here. There. There we go. Put her on the mic. No, no. You can go over there. All right. Yes. See, my computer was just about to get all crazy. Yeah, and then we'd have an electrocuted kitty, and my house would smell bad. Okay. $17. I don't like that you get a higher score with a lower. All right. So what is answer to 17, everybody? A spring. The spring. And how do retard points work? How do retard points work? They conduct DC current away from the coil until we want it there, and then we get our late spark. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to do?